Friends, hello everyone. Ukrainian refugees who are currently living in Switzerland under protection status S have, let's say, traveled back and forth to Ukraine a bit too much during the war. And in this video, we're going to talk exactly about that. So, the legislative body of Switzerland, back in the winter of 2024, adopted a resolution concerning the safe regions of Ukraine. It had already determined them back then, but this resolution only comes into force on November 1st, 2025. That means starting from November 1st, 2025, the Swiss authorities will begin to distinguish between regions of Ukraine, meaning that returning to certain regions will be considered justified or unjustified when filing new applications for protection status S by Ukrainian citizens. Here's what is stated in the parliamentary resolution, and the reason they made this decision. Let me quote carefully. It is unclear why the admission of Ukrainians is not differentiated according to their region of origin. The area of Ukraine is 603,061 kilometers, which is approximately 15 times larger than that of Switzerland. This is from the official website of the Swiss Parliament. On the territory of Ukraine, there are A. Regions fully or partially occupied by Russia, understandable. B. Regions where more or less intense hostilities are taking place. And C. Regions under the control of Ukraine where no hostilities are taking place. Now, importantly, while the admission of persons from zones A and B is justified, there are no grounds for persons from zone C, that is, areas where no fighting is taking place. This is also confirmed by the fact that persons with protection status S repeatedly leave Switzerland for these zones, that is, safe ones, and then return back to Switzerland. So, it's clearly stated in this official Swiss parliamentary document, it's about Ukrainians traveling back and forth between Switzerland and Ukraine. I said a long time ago, when German media first began publishing reports about these trips, that this would lead to nothing good. At the time, some politicians claimed this was anti-Ukrainian sentiment. Remember how one German MP even counted around 50 buses going back and forth? He said it openly in the German parliament. And I said then, this would not end well. There's no one else to blame here. Ukrainian refugees have only themselves to blame for the Swiss parliament's decision. That's all. The logic is simple. You go to Switzerland or Germany asking for protection, saying that there are missiles flying, bombs are falling, it's dangerous, we took our children to safety. You get benefits, residence permits, and protection. Then, after 2-3 months, some people, even with children, go back to Ukraine and then return again. Do you think migration authorities in Germany or Switzerland don't know this? They do. They're silent, but they're aware. And note, this decision was not suspended, even though recently we've seen intensified shelling in the western regions of Ukraine. Still, the Swiss authorities haven't suspended it. Why? Because even now, despite the escalation, Ukrainians in Germany, France, Switzerland, and other EU countries who have protection continue to travel back and forth. Officials know it, and that's why they didn't halt the decision. It will take effect on November 3rd, and who's to blame? Only the Ukrainians themselves. Now here's how this will be implemented in Switzerland. The migration authorities will continue to review each application on an individual basis. If the migration service rejects an application for protection because the person comes from a region where return is considered justified, a deportation order will be issued. Meaning, someone comes from Lviv and applies for protection S. The authorities review it and say, you're from Lviv, and Lviv is completely safe. We have our official regulation, the resolution of the Swiss Parliament. Therefore, here's your rejection of protection S, and here's your second notice. You must leave Switzerland by such and such date. If you don't, deportation procedures will follow. As of October 8, 2025, the Swiss Migration Service considers it reasonable to return Ukrainian applicants or those seeking protection status S to the following regions of Ukraine: Volyn, Rivne, Lviv, Ternopil, Zakarpattia, Ivano-Frankivsk, and Chernivtsi. These are all western regions of Ukraine. That's the situation, friends. Notice, the war is not seen as an obstacle. Even the escalation of attacks isn't considered one. And this is important for those who comment saying, the war is ongoing, so no one in the EU will deport Ukrainians. That would violate human rights. Friends, listen. It's only a matter of political will. Switzerland has it now. Once other countries have it, they'll make the same decision and that'll be it. Deportations will happen quickly. They'll find 1,000 reasons. And one of those reasons will be statistics. They'll say, Look how many Ukrainians with temporary protection travel monthly from the EU to Ukraine and back. That's all. And who's to blame? Again, the Ukrainians themselves. If there hadn't been these constant trips, it would have been much harder for the Swiss parliament to make such a decision, because then there'd be a clear argument. People are afraid to go back. There's a war. But now they take their kids back to Ukraine on their own. No one forces them. So why should taxpayers keep paying for their support if they can live safely back home? Friends, what do you think about this topic?